if we'd have learned about this stuff at school, it would have prepared us for adulthood. And like other cultures have these better like introductions to adulthood, like some places have like bat mitzvahs or quinceañeras, but I feel like the closest coming of age ceremony we have in the UK is Freshers' Week, which is where you just encourage 18-year-olds to like drink and bang. Like I don't know if that is the best introduction to adulthood. And so I was the first person in my family to go to university. If that sounds surprising, I can explain. I just learned my accent from Hermione. Like that is the whole that's the whole story. Thank you. But growing up, so like uni was where I met really fancy people, but growing up I thought me and my family are fancy. I was like, if we're not fancy, why does Dad wear so much jewelry? Yeah, turns out we're not fancy. And other clues were there, like I didn't go to that good a school. I went to a state comprehensive, but I don't even think it was fully comp, more like third party fire and theft. Which there was a lot of. Thank you for trying to get a clap started. I appreciate that, but they didn't back you up. Daddy. Oh no, I said I wouldn't talk to you. So that was voted one of the funniest jokes at the Fringe last year by a right-wing paper. Is that okay? Still, I put it on the poster. I don't know if that's all right. But like, there were other clues that maybe like I wasn't that fancy. So my dad, he works in the print trade, and he works as an estimator. If you don't know what that means, it means he gives quotes like, "Life is what happens while you're making other plans. Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you." Like he's a very wise man. Whereas my mum, she teaches in a prison, and she teaches drug awareness to young offenders. But like I think they might be aware. I just think all young people are aware, and like working with young people has like started to affect her language, because when I went back home recently, she asked me to get some basil from the garden. I got parsley. She called me a waste man. She called me a waste man, and I told that story in Bath, and Bath's a pretty fancy place, isn't it? And then somebody came up to her at the end, and she said she was maybe the fanciest person I've ever met, and she said, "Excuse me, can you really not identify basil by the leaf?" I said, no, sorry, I can't. And she said, "You are a waste man." So that's what I'm dealing with. But no, truly, interactions with like people I meet at gigs is my favourite part of it. Like maybe my favourite / worst one ever was the first gig back from lockdown, and it got off to a really weird start because everyone was so like, remember how weird it was just being back in a room with people. So people felt weird. Comics were anxious to be back on stage, so jokes weren't really working. But there was a guy in the front row who was giving off such good energy. So I thought, okay, instead of doing jokes, I'm going to chat to him. So I said, "I like you, sir. You've got a twinkle in your eye." And then he said, "I've got conjunctivitis." So university, it was overwhelming because I was meeting like fancy people like I'd never met before. Now I'm kind of between worlds where like half of my friends are born with a silver spoon in their mouth, but half of my friends are born like in spoons. Okay, you guys are going to get a clap started at one point, I believe in you. But now I am between worlds because I've recently moved to Oxford. How do we feel about Oxford? Thank you. That's nice. Okay, that's nice because mostly like doing stand-up, saying I like live in Oxford now gets a negative reaction, and I figured out why. And I think it's because like I have a lot more people visit me now I live in Oxford rather than Milton Keynes. But what? Don't say fair enough. But they do. They visit me there a lot more. And so when I had some friends come to visit, we were going around Oxford and we were going around Radcliffe Camera, this like beautiful library in the centre of town, and we were walking around it, and there were two people walking around the top, which I'd never seen before. So my friend shouted up, "Oi, how'd you get up there?" And the person at the top replied, "Academic excellence." And I understood why people fucking hate Oxford. That is fair enough. That's not where I went to uni, but still, I was like meeting like truly fancy people, and their attitudes were so different. Like I was meeting really wealthy people. Like one girl bought a Domino's full price. Okay, I understand that wasn't funny, but it's still one of the most shocking things I've ever witnessed. Because like my relationship with money is basically like whenever I get any money that I'm not expecting, I call it spendo. I call it spendo. So when I was recently back at my parents' house, I got a tax rebate. So I opened it and I was like, spendo. But my dad, who has seen this cycle play out, looked me deep in my eyes, put his hand on my wrist, and said, "Savo." But it was like such a difficult adjustment because like in Freshers Week, one of my friends threw a sexy cat themed party, but I didn't know anything about sex. I wasn't ready to go as a sexy cat, so I was like, I'm not going as a sexy cat just because you told me to. Fuck the patriarchy. Okay, I hoped more of you might be on board with that. No, but you're right. Don't fuck the patriarchy. It will only encourage them. That's what I learned. So instead, I didn't want to go as a sexy cat. So what I did instead is I bought a nude coloured dress and a choker and a bald cap. And instead, I went as a Sphinx cat. But then my friend Henry told me I didn't look like a Sphinx cat, I looked like a testicle. And you don't want to go to a sexy cat party as a single bollock. Could be a couple's costume. Oh, you don't want me to talk to you.